Alright, y'all been asking me for a minute now. I've been way behind on this, but I wanted to show you guys the Sony camera I've been running now. Ever since I started running this thing, I've been getting a ton of questions and haven't really done a video on it yet just because I've been really trying to make sure it's all squared away and I'm happy with it. And I think I am now. It's not perfect in every way, but what the setup is really smoking. Jesus. Yeah, they are. So one thing about me with these action cameras, I'm not brand loyal at all. I use whatever I think is going to work best for me. That's why I gave the Sony camera a try here. This is the, what is this thing, FDR-X3000 something. I wish they'd make a better name for the camera, to be honest with you. This isn't even their best one. They've got a new one out right now. It's like the AX0, I believe. And that one's actually set up more like a GoPro. If you go look up the specs of that thing, it is insane. I'm going to talk to you though real quick about how I set this up, why I chose to go this route. And I know people are going to ask this like 100 times. There's probably people that haven't gotten to this point in the video, they're already commenting this. What about the GoPro, dude? You should just run the GoPro. GoPro's the best camera you ever had. If you're like a super hardcore GoPro fanboy, you may as well skip this video because I'm going to explain why I'm not running a GoPro, my current issues with GoPros that are out right now. I ran Hero 4 Silvers for about 2 years. They're a pretty solid camera. They're the best GoPro camera I've ever used. I've had pretty much all of them from the 3 up. The 4 still wasn't perfect. It would give me about a year and a half of life before I would start having issues with them. They just get finicky, they start corrupting files, they freeze up. That's the biggest thing. You get a lot of freezing up as the camera ages. Now I use my action cameras a lot more than a normal person. Plenty of people will go, I've never had a problem with it, but most of them can't point to an example of making as many videos as I do. I make a lot of videos, I understand that. So I'm not too upset with them over it. It's just a bit annoying that, you know, a $400, $500 camera, you get about a year and a half at most out of it, and then you just need to go ahead and retire it, make it like a B camera or even a C camera. The reason I don't run the 4s anymore is they both got broken at the same time in one spectacular crash. They both kind of work, but not really. You could still find Hero 4s, but I'm not about to buy a refurbished one when I can only get a year and a half out of a brand new one. That's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, at that point, I'm not really interested in it anymore. The Hero 5 literally disappointed me in every way. The picture, yeah, in the right conditions was a little better than the Hero 4, but it could not go from dark to light very well. Like if you're riding off-road, going through trees with shade and there's light everywhere poking through, and that's kind of an extreme condition for a camera, but the 4 handled it pretty well, and the 5 literally looked terrible trying to handle the different lights coming in and out. Everything was either under or overexposed constantly with it. One button start used to kill the external microphone. I don't think they ever got that squared away. They're supposed to do some update to fix that, and it's like the camera been out for over a year and they can't get that fixed. You know, it shows that they're so focused on the next camera they can't take care of the problems with the current one. All right, wind. Stop it. I couldn't even turn the camera on and have it work. I'd have to power it on, try to look in my mirror, then hit record so I could get external light. And then that brings me to the final problem. They went in there and they did all this extra settings with the external mic. None of them are helpful for somebody motovlogging. It just was the worst audio. I tried so many different mic setups. I tried powered mic setups. I could not make that thing sound good no matter what I did. The other problem with it too is you have to run that really big adapter. There's no aftermarket choice with it. And because it's rubberized, you can't even just put Velcro on it like normal. You have to, I had to super glue dual lock Velcro on the back side of it. So when I returned the camera, I couldn't even return this thing. It's not like I could just peel off some 3M, which usually doesn't even leave any residue. You know, I had to keep this $50, I think is what it costs me, $55 mic adapter. I did end up returning that GoPro. It just pissed me off too much, and I got the Sony. Most people's first thought when they look at this thing is they think it's really, really big. This is a GoPro knockoff, but it's literally the exact same dimensions. And if we hold it up here to the Sony, you can see the Sony's a little bit bigger. I've got this lens cover on the front here. Let's pop that off and you'll see it's not that much bigger. It's got a lens that sticks out the front. That's your thing there. Now you gotta remember though, with the GoPro, pretend this is a GoPro, you gotta run that big block on there, which this kind of has built into it, if you will. I will say one of the issues with the Sony here is the mounting system is a little screwy, so what I've actually got here is a camera thread adapter piece. So you can get this little guy right here, a couple adapters, you can just run a GoPro system. If I was to redo this all, I'd move it back a little, but it's just too much already in the way, and I kind of end up JB welding a lot of my adapters down just so they're super tight, so I don't really have the option on this helmet to move it. But next setup I do, I'll bring it in a little bit and I'll get this a little bit tighter to the helmet. You need to make sure you're not getting any of the helmet in the shot because this has optical stabilization. I believe you can turn it off, but I love it. It's what makes this camera look so good. When you're off-roading, it literally looks like you're just holding a steady cam running down the trail. It does sort of take away sometimes how extreme of a trail or whatever you're on, but I think it's worth it just for the fact that it looks so clean. This guy will go up to 4K at 30 frames a second. I know the newest GoPros will do 60 frame at 4K, which I just don't see myself messing with that. That's a really outrageous setting as far as I'm concerned. I think for what I do on YouTube for motovlogging, 1080p at 60 is still what I run for pretty much everything. With a 64 gigabyte card in here, I have 5 hours and 35 minutes of record time. Or if I go to 4K with a card like this, I can do just under 2 hours at 4K at 30 frames. Sometimes I'll do that. Quality of this compared to the GoPro, I mean, when I literally was editing footage one day from Hero 5 and switched to this, you know, and I had back and forth footage from files I was going back and forth between, and even Hero 4 Silver stuff still. And every time I started a file on one of these to edit it, you can't help but stop and look at that and go, holy crap, that's just such a better camera. You have a 3.5 mic going straight into the camera. You don't have to put an adapter, you don't have to have some weird USB to 3.5. It's got 3.5 built into it, which is just, to me, that's just one of the biggest selling points. Also, the way it processes the audio is really good. Now, the mic I'm running on this thing is actually a Sena microphone, and I've got a whole video I just did recently about how you can sort of adapt one of these microphones into running on a 3.5 cable there. And I'll put a link to that video. You can get these out of the SMH20s and the SMH30s now, I believe, also run this as a 2.5 mono. You gotta get the right adapter and the right cable to make this work. Again, go check out that video. I've put the exact parts. I will say, unfortunately, since we did that video, these microphones are a little bit hard to find now. I guess people started buying them all up. These guys, these Sena boom mics. Again, you really need the one with the jack on the end here. I will tell you one way to get one still, if you can't find one like this, you can actually just buy an entire SMH20 or 30, or if you already have one and you get a new helmet, you can get just the bottom piece. It'll come with a spare boom mic. In fact, some of them come with these little ones too. I've yet to try one of these little ones out. I don't know if they're better, but it would certainly work. I'd have to think that this bigger microphone would be better, but heck, for all I know, it might have the exact same hardware inside. The one button start when I'm actually riding, I'll just simply tap this, and it's really fast. That's how fast it goes from on to recording. You heard that beep there. And you get a solid red light on top. You get one on the back side here. Typically if I'm riding, I'll just cut my hand like that, and I can easily see from my eyesight that this thing's glowing red. Tap it again, it'll turn off. The GoPros was about 5 to 6 seconds typically. This is an SJ cam. It's actually a little bit quicker than the GoPro, but I'll show you. This is off right now. I gotta hold it for a few seconds. Okay, it's turning on, and it's recording. So not bad. It would appear to most people that this would be blocking your eyesight. It really doesn't. Your eyesight comes right over this, which is really cool because it does get it super in line with your eye. I found in videos with this, I can literally look at something and point, and this camera is looking dead at whatever I'm looking at. It does low light pretty well. Its adjustment from dark to light is really good. As far as action cams go, I've had over the years, this is by far the best one I've ever had. Now, you will notice here, I do have 2 cables running out of this thing right here. The second cable wraps all the way around the camera and goes the helmet, and goes to this guy right here, which is an external battery. This is something I've had on my paramotor helmet. I adapted to it recently, and I've just added it this morning to this helmet finally. Now what we've done here is we've used a little bit of this dual lock Velcro, holding the helmet by the battery here. It has absolutely no problem. The dual locks won't wear out like normal Velcro does, so you put a little strip of it here. I put a small piece of 3M just double-sided adhesive in the back to try to take a little bit of the curve out of this helmet, but it's got a nice flat spot. I'd say it's about 80% stuck on right now. You know, the curve takes a little bit out of it, but not much. This one, it does that smart charge thing where it can look and see the voltage it needs to run to that product. But what I really like about it is it'll automatically come on and turn off as it's needed. I don't have to reach down here and hit, where's the button? The button right there. I don't really have to mess with that button. I've turned this on in my office and just let it go to see how long it'll go before it dies. And you'll always run the SD card out before you'll kill this guy, even in 4K. Well, 4K it's even faster, but I've done 1080 at 60 where you've got 5 hours of record time, and it'll just go for 5 hours.
and then this thing will still have like half charge left to it. On the Sony though, you do need to keep a battery still inside of it. I don't know why. I think that's something maybe they could fix in an update. This system here for me is one I can put on my head. I don't have any dangling cables. I'll have really good audio, really good video, and I've got the ability to run both of those for a long time without having to stop and mess with it. Oh, another plus too for this over the GoPro. Sorry, I know we already ranted on the GoPro versus the Sony. When it goes to a new file after it's like 20 minutes or something, the next file's just got the next name. You know what I'm saying? Like it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the file names. It doesn't have like, if you've ever messed with the GoPro sorting order, you know what I'm talking about. Like I said, I'm very happy with this system so far, and I know a lot of y'all been asking about it, so there it is. Check it out if you want. I got links in the description. Good system, you don't have to worry about it. Once you're out there riding with your boys, you're not gonna have to pull over, play with batteries, play with SD cards. You should be able to leave the house with what's on your head and just go all day. Bye-bye.